2025 brought a lot of things. We saw a new state budget. We had a historic government shutdown on the federal level. And so just reflect a little bit on 2025. What are you most proud of, and what were some of the biggest challenges that you feel like you faced?
Well, in 2025, we continue to bring companies to Ohio. I think that's some really good news. They're coming out of the very high cost West Coast and East Coast, and we're bringing a lot of them to the Miami Valley. So, very happy about that. I think that's going to continue. A challenge I think that we face as a state is that we have to continue to make sure that everybody has the opportunity, particularly our young people, to live up to their version of the American dream. That means that we have to continue to really focus on early childhood education, the science of reading, which we've now are spreading across in every classroom in the state. Is clearly the best way to teach kids how to read. Unfortunately, this country kind of got away from that a little bit in a number of schools. And we were teaching other ways to learn to read, and now we found out that that's just not the way to go. And so we have now that uniformity. Fran and I've had the chance to go into probably, I guess, 40 schools, 100 and some classrooms, and just to see the teachers who teach this, they do such a great job teaching these little kids to learn how to read. It's just very inspiring. Fran continues to grow the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, free books to kids from 0 to 5. It's now possible, and you can, when you go to the hospital and a woman has a baby, family has a baby, that the paperwork that you fill out, one of the things is a question: do you want the Dolly Parton Imagination Library book coming free in the mail? And so we're seeing a lot more people check that now. It's easy to do. So I think that's what we have to continue to do. We have to continue also to really remove barriers. Mental health, untreated mental health challenges, we know are a barrier to people. It slows them down. It doesn't allow them to live their dreams. And so we're going to continue to work on that. One of the things that we just started statewide back actually in September is something that we've heard a lot from families about who have somebody in the family who has a mental health problem. And let's say they have a child who has a mental health challenge, and they're at a crisis. They now can pick up the phone and call 988, and someone will physically respond within an hour to that house to help them stabilize that child and to come up with then appropriate care. So that's just one example of some of the things that we're trying to do.
I know the youth have been very important to you with your time in office, and you were just recently visiting the city of Dayton and speaking about some of the programs that are going on. The city is bringing in Cure Violence to help with violence and other factors. And speaking on mental health, even, there are different departments that try to bring in crisis counselors, say, that maybe aren't officers, to go into some of these situations that people may be having a mental health crisis. So when we talk about specifically the violence in the city of Dayton, what have you learned in working with the city, and what the city is doing to kind of work on this issue?
Well, we have a close relationship with the police, with the mayor, in regard to violent crime. It's not unique to Dayton. We see it in cities across the state of Ohio and frankly across this country. The reality is that the violent crime in our society today is perpetrated by a relatively small number of people. We have to go after them, frankly, and remove them from society. And if you do that, then the violent crime does in fact go down. So we have this partnership with the Dayton Police Department and with other police departments around the state. We do it with through our highway patrol, so we can bring in the patrol to work very closely with the police department. But we also can bring in some of our other departments, liquor control, for example. One of the things that we find is that certain bars seem to have most of the violence surrounding them, and our agents will be able to identify people who are going into those bars who frankly aren't allowed to have guns but do have guns. Convicted felon for violent offense in Ohio cannot have a gun. And so these are some of the things that we can be value added, but it's a very close relationship with the Dayton Police Department. And we're happy to make that available, and we're going to continue to do that.
I just want to pivot really quickly because I don't have a lot of time with you to the recreational marijuana that we've seen that law change in Ohio. How do you think that that has gone on the state side for this rollout of something new?
Well, it still is relatively new. The voters of the state of Ohio voted to legalize marijuana. I didn't think that was a great idea. I thought it was a bad idea, but that's what they voted for. And so now we have established a system in the state where there's regulated marijuana and people can purchase that. One of the challenges has been is that people have taken hemp, which has been legal, but it's really unregulated. And they've, what I would say, juiced it up in kind of layman's terms, my terms, and it made it much, much more potent. And then they're selling it at gas stations in the Miami Valley, for example. Some of the gas stations are selling it. Sometimes it comes in the form of gummies. And, we've seen the number of kids who have overdosed on this stuff, ended up in the hospital. So it's a real, real problem, and it's not regulated. So I've been asking the legislature to do something about it. They just passed a law and have sent it to me, and I intend to sign the bill, which will make hemp like marijuana in the sense that it has to be regulated, and it can only be sold under the same conditions that marijuana can be sold, and that is in dispensaries around the state of Ohio. We think this is going to solve a lot of the problem. We don't want kids to be able to walk in and buy this stuff. We also want to control the advertising, and we want to, regulate that so they cannot appeal directly to kids. So we think that that's, a lot of progress. I'll be glad in a few days to sign the bill.
Also, I wanted to touch on Springfield as well because I want to know what was it like working with leaders there after Springfield became kind of was nationally spotlighted, shall we say, when it comes to immigration, and knowing that going into 2026, as of February 3rd, there may not be temporary protected status anymore for Haitian immigrants. So can you talk a little bit about what has that been like to navigate, and how will you continue to navigate that?
Well, we've simply just tried to be helpful to Mayor Rue and to the other leaders, the county commissioners, the schools, for example. When the schools started getting bomb threats, we put the highway patrol in there in each school so that the school could feel comfortable and they would feel like, there was someone there for them. And I think that made a difference. We've also put some social services in there. We've done other things. We're going to continue to do that. But it doesn't really change the fact, as you say, what's going to happen. These Haitians who came here legally, who are legal today, who are engaged in working, who are filling jobs that companies tell us they were not able to fill before the Haitians came. When we get to February 3rd, they're going to go from being legal to being illegal. And once that happens, then the employers will no longer be able to employ them. So we think there's about 10,000 Haitians in the Springfield area. That means they're all going to be out of work that day. And that's going to have a real impact on our local economy in the Miami Valley. Springfield has really been moving forward, making some great strides. And one of the reasons is because you have the Haitians who are filling these jobs, helping to drive the economy and move Springfield forward. So when that ends, it's going to be, very hurtful, very hurtful to the economy and to the community.
Absolutely. And sticking on Springfield for just a moment, I just spoke with some community leaders not long ago, and there is some concern come February that they will be seeing more immigration enforcement and ICE agents in the city. What is your message to residents who are seeing some of the things go on across the country when it comes to immigration enforcement and what they may fear might be coming more to Springfield?
Well, of course, we have no idea how the federal government will enforce this, whether ICE will come in or not. We don't have any sight on that at all. We just know that on that date in February, they become illegal. So the one thing we do know, because I've talked to the companies are not going to employ them. They can't. It would be illegal for them to do it. So all these jobs are going to come open. And, again, this is going to hurt the economy. Companies are going to have to struggle to try to replace these workers. As far as what the Haitians do, I don't know. It's very unlikely that they go back to Haiti. Haiti is just, the government is virtually non-functioning. The gangs control a great deal of Haiti. It's a very, very, very dangerous place. And so, the people I've talked to in Springfield who are talking to the Haitians tell me they're not going back to Haiti. They'll have to figure out someplace else to go, but it won't be Haiti.
We did have a historic government shutdown, but I know that some emergency aid when it comes to resources for food and things, you helped out with for Ohioans. So can you just talk me through what was it like being through a government shutdown this long and making sure the state of Ohio it was okay?
Well, making sure Ohio was okay was what we tried to do. As you know, we had a government shutdown. One direct impact was that what we used to call food stamps now, were stopped for a period of a few days. So we sent out about $8 million to our food banks around the state of Ohio. We know they could use that. We know that they could get food out to people. We also took the poorest of the individuals and gave them extra assistance from the state that we could do at that time. So we hope we got everybody through that, but we continue to monitor what the situation is as far as our food banks.
2026 will be your last year as governor. And do you think that you may endorse a particular candidate? Where would you like to see Ohio head, even though you will not be the governor?
Well, first of all, every governor has to lead in the way he or she thinks best. And so I'm not going to be looking over anybody's shoulder at all. I've said that I will endorse a Republican nominee. I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican my entire life. So I will endorse the nominee. It certainly looks like it's going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. He and I have had, I think, 3 separate long meetings right here in the governor's residence. And I think they've been beneficial. I've enjoyed them. I think they've been beneficial for him. I know they've been beneficial for me. I'm just trying to get to know him a little better, but also, for me to share with him some of the things that I have seen, some of the things that I have learned since I've been governor. There's always a learning curve. No matter who becomes governor, there is some learning curve. It is a different type job. It's an all-consuming everyday job. You never know what crisis is going to arise. And so, I've just been talking with him, but again, also listening to what his ideas are.
You also had to, choose someone to fill a Senate seat, and that was now Senator John Husted. So can you just touch on, in reflection, how do you feel like that is going, having him represent Ohio in the Senate?
Well, John Husted has been a great U.S. Senator. We've worked with him very, very closely. He has an intimate knowledge of how state government works. He has an intimate knowledge of the state of Ohio. He's traveled all over the state for years and years and years. So having him there, looking out for us, makes a big difference. When the big, beautiful bill was going through Congress, John Husted was there to help us and was able to get some things into the bill that really were very, very helpful for the state of Ohio. So he gets us. He is one of us, and I'm just very happy he is there, and he's doing a phenomenal job.
I mean, on that level, the federal government is working through some healthcare issues right now, of course, with not knowing about subsidies being renewed or not. Is there anything the state can do if these subsidies don't get figured out essentially on the federal level and healthcare goes up. Is that something that you may have to face in this last year?
Well, there's a lot of things we can't control as governor. I can control what, some things that we do, but I certainly cannot control uh, what the federal government is going to do. So we're waiting to see exactly where we end up. We're doing some positive things that we'll continue to do. One of the concerns we've had is, there's some communities that don't have a primary care physician. So we've been working with the local schools to put clinics into some of those schools. And that's done really two things. One, it's enabled the students to get care very quickly because it's right in that school. They don't have to be out of school for half a day or a day to go to the doctor. So it's made for a lot better attendance. But the other thing it's done is it's made it easier for people in that community. Most of these schools who have these clinics, they allow people in the community to go to the clinic as well. They come in a different door, different waiting room usually, but they're seen many times by the same doctor. And we think over time that that's going to increase the quality of life in many of these communities because they're going to have that medical care literally right there. So it's things like that, I think, that we can continue to do that will, in fact, make a big difference.
Did you want to touch on any goals that you have for 2026? I know it will probably go by quickly. And in reflection of both of your terms, is there anything that maybe you would have done different or anything that you specifically learned from?
Well, I've already said, I said in an interview a few weeks ago that if I had it to do over again, I would not have signed the sports gaming. Probably would have become law anyway, but I would not have signed it if I knew, then what I know now. And what we really have seen is this massive spending, like hundreds of millions of dollars for advertising. You can't watch a Reds game, you can't watch a Bengals game without seeing all this advertising. And what we've seen is a real spike in addiction, particularly among 21-year-old males, 21 up to, say, 40. It's that group of people that we've seen the most damage to. Now, we have taken some action to curtail some of these, what we call these micro prop bets. Pitcher, you're betting on the pitcher whether he's going to throw a ball or a strike. That's totally in control of the pitcher. And it's that type of betting that I think is really susceptible to abuse. So we got an agreement with Major League Baseball to restrict the size of those bets. You can't bet more than $200. We think that will help, the integrity of the sport. We're going to continue to work with these professional leagues to see if we can improve the situation.
Again, is there any last words for going into this last year that you have to let the community know around Ohio?
Well, I think Dayton has a great future. I think Montgomery County, I think Miami Valley as a whole has a great future. We're doing well, but we always can do better. I think one of the things that we hope to do in the next few days is sign some legislation that the legislature has brought forth that will give assistance and help and lower some of the spike and have few of the spikes in real estate taxes that we're seeing. We're seeing some families, who a couple, let's say they're in their 70s, they paid off their mortgage, but now they're seeing massive spikes in their real estate taxes. We have to give them some relief, and these bills look like they have that. So.